Welcome back, folks. SCL action. It's F-Dot and Taco in spot right now. We've got Era Eternity taking on SoaR Gaming to conclude our SCL Monday. Had some fun today, honestly. Some interesting stuff over in Europe, notably out of Rapu and Rival. And then over on the North American side, I had a lot of fun watching my guys in some of those other matches. So hopefully Era Eternity and SoaR bring it just as strong. Our fifth match coming at you now. Picks and bans, pretty please.
Should be a really interesting set as well, considering that there has been a little bit of rumoring for some roster changes going through on the side of Era Eternity. So it'll be pretty refreshing, I think, to see the change of pace coming through on the side of this team. And at the same time, we're not seeing much of a change of pace as far as the picks and bans are concerned. Pretty standard bans coming through, taking away the Zeus, Poseidon, Thanatos, Susanna.
My man Thoth gets through, though.
The classic Thoth all the way around. And Cabrakan, here's a friendly face that we've been seeing all day today and probably will continue to see on top of the Odin.
I didn't think his face is that friendly. It's one of the meanest looking faces in all of the cards, honestly, that you could have picked. But either way, he'll be next to the Odin, like you said. Control on control is what Era Eternity is looking for. SoaR Gaming, on the other hand, Thoth, well, you have the Geb to set up the Thoth, and the Awilix can set up the Thoth even more. This is kind of what the thought is with the Thoth is he's a giant cannonball. How can we help him out hit his stuff?
Yeah, when you combine the Geb ultimate on top of a knockup into the Awilix ultimate, I mean, that's some pretty easy pickings for the Thoth already coming through on the side of SoaR Gaming. But at the same time, it won't necessarily be as cookie-cutter clean as you would probably want it, considering the Batz ultimate could be a pretty strong deterring factor for the side of Era Eternity to utilize to their advantage.
So SoaR Gaming right here, they ban out Zeus, Poseidon, Clow, and Medusa. Era Eternity ban out Ymir, Izanami, Thanatos, and Susano. So Clow will be playing on the Isis, one of his other characters that he's very strong at. It's very funny that Clow, his two go-tos for the mid lane are Isis and Zhonghui, two of which he'll play whatever the meta is. Hades, though, SoaR taking a page out of Aggro's book. Really liking that Hades mid. We're going to see Hades solo.
You might be a bit surprised with where exactly Clow is going to be going on the side of Era Eternity, but you should take a wager that Isis is certainly not meant for him as far as might be predicted, so to say.
These are the things you tell me before the cast.
I didn't realize that.
You pick up Cupid for their last selection. He'll be in the long lane. Isis will likely be in the mid lane. I'm just calling them gods at this point. But SoaR Gaming, solo Hades most likely. Just bring us the game. We'll talk about the solo Hades in a moment. It's SoaR Gaming versus Era Eternity. And you're right, Clow has moved. He's in the mid on Isis. Yeah, okay. He's in the mid on Isis.
I got prank patrolled. Yeah, I'm just going to throw that one out there. And I'm also missing a certain name off of that Era Eternity that still has yet to be revealed. So this is pretty fun. I mean, the TV is back.
My man TV.
But at the same time, there was supposed to be another special guest appearance, and I think that's just...
Listen, this is not vague book. What have you heard and why, so what have you heard about this Era Eternity lineup?
Clow is supposed to be making a transition over to the support role.
Okay.
And I think that for the latter, since they couldn't get the full roster that they wanted to have for this weekend, they've opted to just leave things as is with Clow running that Isis in the mid lane.
Sure.
But I would expect to see some changes going through on that moving forward as the weeks progress in the SCL.
Interesting. We'll have to keep our finger on the pulse for that one. Clow right now on the Isis. I mean, honestly, the Isis pick told me it was going to be Clow over there, right? And I mean, the Zhong, so I don't know. I stand strong. TV making his return. TV obviously sporting the Juice tag. Familiar member of the Smite community, longtime member of the Smite community, and one of the first guys to really jump on the console scene. Didn't really stick. Obviously, everybody else did, but TV makes his return. Longtime sport player. Bringing out the Odin, who has been very successful here, Odin, not TV, in the Smite console league as of late. So we'll see if TV can make him work as well. SoaR take their dual lane lead and head into the enemy jungle looking for the red buff, whereas Eternity making their transition back into the mid lane after taking their own jungle.
So much AoE. These drafts that we've seen all day today, as far as Xbox is concerned, we've seen a lot of teams opt for the mass AoE damage ultimates and things like that. Just so they want to focus on control here. You've got the Batz ultimate synchronizing up with the Isis ult inside of the Odin ring and the Cupid ultimate just to really seal the deal. So tons of lockdown potential, a little bit of sustain as well on the side of Area Eternity, but it could be problematic for them.
This looks problematic to begin with. Cloud sends out a stun, but brought down to half health himself. Here comes TeeVee trying to control the rest of SoaR, but they get hit double stack by Shaliber. Big damage coming out from the SoaR mid laner. All of it through the window, and that's going to put Area Eternity on the back foot and give SoaR the opportunity to at least clean out the oracles and likely move away from that objective.
Having that ward vision is going to be really nice for SoaR, considering that Area Eternity are probably a little bit more favored as far as early game is concerned due to the Odin, Isis, and Cupid. But like I was mentioning, the Geb and Awilix can really work against Area Eternity here, because Geb, all he really needs to do is pop those shields and hit on 2 every now and then. And as long as he lands his knockup, SoaR going to be sitting in a pretty nice spot for that Awilix.
Lands his knockup.
That
like
one was unintentional.
Shot.
I mean, have you ever seen somebody just out of range? It is possible to miss that.
I don't believe it. I mean, Geb knockup is in the same world as Nemesis and Neath Ultimate, right? Like, it's literally impossible. Which makes sense. It's good because Stormy, kind of a bot himself. No, I'm just kidding. StormyRays here, support player for SoaR, another longtime member of the console community. I love these guys and girls over here in the console world. I think that there's a unique type of person that winds up hanging out around the console scene. And Stormy, Shaliber, Zachsy, these guys have all really been here for a long time and left their mark on the community and the scene. And everything's a little bit more aggressive on this side of the world, and I kind of like that style, to be honest with you. Constant fights.
Tons of Ullr gameplay coming out as well. This is a hunter that hasn't really been, top of the charts for the Xbox scene, but has recently been making a huge impact. I think a lot of teams are starting to really value the early game pressure that he can provide into that duo lane. The only issue that he could potentially run into is he doesn't have CC immunity, so that could be slightly problematic against the Cupid, who's got the AoE cripple. It's not like an Ullr who can just ultimate, like Ullr can ult away and have a CC immunity while also potentially damaging. But if you're Ullr, you're kind of just like, do I have beads? Yes, no, maybe so. And I mean, it's one way or the other how that engagement's going to go from there.
I think also the application of Ullr, or the pickup of Ullr more and more frequently on the side of the console scene, is also just the maturation in general of the player base and the platform itself, right? I mean, Ullr is a character that we talk about repeatedly being somebody that you have to really be good at to be good at, and that's always kind of hilarious to say. But the idea that Ullr's skill floor is a lot higher than other characters, and at this point, maybe at the beginning of the console league, we didn't see that sort of skill set, but now players are veteran players. They've been here for over a year at this point, and the platform has been around, so I think Zachsy and other players are a little bit more accustomed to how damn hard Ullr can be to be effective.
and then on top of that, it's just, well, we're not going to see the ultimate coming out of Awilix just yet, opting to hold it instead, which I honestly like that play.
I like that play
by
a lot.
Kaeydan, because sure, you could have ulted the Odin there, but then you still run the risk potential of Isis dropping her ultimate. And for an Isis to drop the ult inside of the ring, with Kaeydan to not really have a whole lot of healing potential since the Geb just used his shield, it could have been a little problematic. And holding it and using it on the Gold Fury, that's a smart move right there.
Yeah, that's 100% beautiful. Gold Fury goes down to SoaR, and that'll be the first lead of the game. Blue Squad pick up a nice little 1,000 gold lead, and exactly. I mean, I can see the future. And if that Awilix was pulled, you'd have 2 big circles surrounding you and your 3 players. And even though it's a 2-on-3, I think the Isis ultimate, thanks to the damage mitigation, the heal, and the damage it deals, winds up making that 2-on-3 even in Eternity's in Eternity's favor. So, I shying away from that pull. That's not making that play is more impressive than a big play from Kaeydan. I think the decision to not pull the jumping Odin or the knocked up Odin is just as big a play as some like Gold Fury stealing. I think that's a fantastic maneuver coming out from Kaeydan.
And as an Awilix, you never really want to ult any characters who already have jump escapes. You really want to try and hold that for when they're trying to utilize their jump to get away, because that puts so much more pressure onto TeeVee to not be as aggressive or reckless with his jump engages. Because at this point in time, TeeVee, he has the blink already on Odin, which is ideal for going against an Awilix, but it's still incredibly difficult to be able to aggressively play this Odin into an Awilix, especially when the enemy team has knockup potential for you.
So speaking of the support, we actually see the Chalice of the Oracle coming out for TeeVee over here on the Odin. Now, the wards, what it does is it provides you 2 wards, and every time you back, it refills. It's 400 gold, right? And we've seen a couple of players really like it. A couple of players really don't like it as far as just what it brings and force you to back. What's your feeling on the ward Oracle?
The mindset behind this, as far as what TeeVee is probably looking for, is he just wants to try and ward the map aggressively to look for some kind of early engagement in a different lane. And Homie looks like he could be in a lot of trouble underneath that tower, and he's going to fall to SoaR immediately first blood.
Goes the way of SoaR, dropping the ring. It'll be Odin jumping forward, still looking for more. Gets pulled on back. It's TeeVee versus 2 while the rest of the team deals with Clow on the top side. Shaliber takes out TeeVee, and the rest of the team is going to be forced to back off. Jungler Aeromatica just could not handle that situation. Separated. Well done by SoaR to isolate the Odin away from the rest of the squad.
And that jump, that's all that Kaeydan was waiting for. It's just every single time TeeVee makes that mistake, if Kaedan's around, that's all he wants. He just wants that free kill onto the Odin, because without a jump, at this stage in the game, that's like 70% of the Odin's combination damage.
Do you view Awilix as a hard counter to Odin?
Oh, definitely.
Exactly. That's. I thought there was maybe some wiggle room because no. When it comes down to it, Odin's initiation. That's why TeeVee goes blink, because now he can blink to initiate. Whereas Odin's only initiation is jump. His only damage is jump. We don't talk about Gungnir Smite, like I always say. And when it comes down to it, sweet. I've got X player locked in my cage. Well, okay, sweet deal. I can jump out. I'm Awilix, right? So when it comes down to it, I think just the Awilix pick is just intelligent.
Yeah, it's not like a Bacchus, for example. You can play Bacchus into an Awilix and still have that wiggle room, like you mentioned, but you can't really afford to do that with Odin just because of the fact that that bird bomb combination is so vital to his early game stage. Exactly. Like, people don't really pick Odin for the utilization of the slow. Like, that's cool.
We don't talk about
it might pay off every now and then. But all you really want is that cage and the bird bomb damage. And if you can't get that off as Odin, you're in a lot of trouble.
Shaliber's in a lot of trouble right now. Controlled, and Aeromatica just rolls him over. That'll be the first kill for Era Eternity. They pick it up and they walk away. That is one of my favorite maneuvers from teams, is when they know that they've got enough. You pick up the kill and you run, you don't even walk, you run away. And just as cleanly as it was executed, just ring, fear no evil, dead, leave. Era Eternity know not to take more than they can handle.
And in the solo lane, just standard gameplay coming out. Both of these guys just looking to clear as much as possible. Homie wants to slap him for 20 damage, and I don't think Medieval has much of an issue with that.
Nah, they're both going to go heal up to full and LOL their way back as they walk back. I really, does Cabrakan use his teleport here is my question. No, he actually cancels the back. So some of the small intricacies of the solo lane, there's now a minute separating our 2 teleports. So right now, if you're Eternity, you really want to be starting a fight, ideally on the Gold Fury as it just spawns. Eternity right here want to make a play for the gold because of that teleport differential.
Yeah, especially since Homie, like, he has his available, but they need to be careful because if they don't look for that Gold Fury play sooner than later, they're going to end up having a Hades rotating into their backline.
Exactly. With 60-second differential, you need to make that play, like, right then and there. It's already too late at the moment. A second Fear No Evil in the mid lane, and a second death for Shaliber. We just watched that one happen. This time, the extended clip. Ultimate out of TheYungHomie, who makes the rotation thanks to that teleport differential, but nothing's able to be made of it. Aeromatica in some trouble, able to jump away thanks to a little bit of help from his friends. So Era Eternity did try to make a play off of the teleport difference there coming out from the two solo laners, but unable to actually make it happen. But that was the thought. Listen, it was too late for the gold, but we can still make this double kill in the mid lane, and Cabrakan doesn't get to pull it off.
Beading before jumping was so essential for the Batz' survivability right there. If he hadn't beads when he did, he would have most certainly found himself getting pulled. You could tell Kaeydan was looking for it and just waiting, and then Zachsy nearly had him around the corner, but just out of range to hit him with the last minute auto attack.
It always makes me laugh when I see Geb walking up against a wall, right? so Stormy right there is using his camera angle to say, y'all just taking the oracles, right? Okay, you can take the oracles, I don't have a problem, but don't look at the Gold Fury. But when you just see the rock man like standing up against the wall, it's like no one can see me, right? I'm reenacting.
Hey,
it's so funny to me.
If you play, well, I guess it's different for the Xbox in comparison, you know, in PC, but like that's a real thing on like PC, as I'm sure you're aware of.
Hide in the wall as Geb?
Well, no, it's just if you play on lower graphics on PC, you actually get more visibility of the map, like the overhead view, which is easier, which is why a lot of pro players tend to play on minimum to low settings as opposed to the max graphics. So there are some advantages that, you know, players can definitely utilize to their advantage.
I don't think Geb's blending into the scenery anytime soon, no matter what graphics you're playing on, Taco. I mean, if you really can, all right, especially the Magma skin, if you really lose a Geb in the scenery, I mean, you got to look at things outside of your graphical settings. juiceTeeVee jumps on in, wants to look at something outside of the team. There's Clow getting chunked down. Big Sanctuary going to save him for the moment. The up-down on the TV is going to be good, but Shaliber turns things around. He takes out Clow. This time 3-2, SoaR leading. Still not done yet, pulling TV out of the air. It's Kaeydan. Great play for the jungle of Awilix. And SoaR continuing the chase, but likely to wind up with a whole bunch of nothing. Medieval just taking a long route back to his solo lane.
Thoth to the face for Clow.
Yeah.
That's just, oh man, poor Clow. Ooh. He felt it.
Gold Fury, half HP. Here comes Fatal Ghost X with that big old Cupid ultimate. Certainly a big threat. So, gets zoned out, and the objective goes the way of SoaR Gaming. Medieval getting a little bit greedy here, looking for the tower. Not going to be the case. It's a 2-on-1 for the Hades. This is a situation that Hades could actually wind up okay in, but not if he's controlled like that, Taco.
He's just trying to make the great escape at this point in time, but it's looking like he's not going to be able to pull it off, and indeed he is just going to fall right there. I mean, when you want to get that greedy on a Hades this early in the game, the tower's already gone. Yeah. And even with the bot's ultimate being down, you don't really need that when you've just got a two-man rotation coming in to assist the Cabrakan.
Era Eternity easily getting the objective here. Kaeydan get a feather step Aeromatica and actually get him hit by the fire giant a couple of times. But that's all well and good. The objective goes down to EE very easily. Not too big of a deal. They're already down to tower, as you said. Greedy old Medieval picking up the first rubble over there in the short lane. 4-3. But this game has been pretty much all about the mid laners, believe it or not. Our junglers are top damage, but they're the ones setting up for the final hits here for Shaliber and Cloud, 2 and 1 respectively in their kill columns. There
are some small level differences coming out for both of these teams. Everybody on the side of SoaR has about a 1 to 1.5 level advantage over Era Eternity, which is pretty important considering that SoaR's draft probably prospers a lot more in the mid to late game stages than what Era Eternity's does, and I would say that solely because of the fact that a Geb at that mid to late game stage is super annoying to deal with. It's just the Geb and the cleanse and the shield and plus the ultimate with the Awilix, and just bread and butter what you're looking for.
Nice little pull on a homie, but Eternity acts accordingly, responds, but big old pillar coming out from Medieval. Shalibur combines and picks up a kill as well. 3 players dead now as Medieval picks up his 2nd kill in the team fight. Aeromatica and Fatal Ghost, the only ones alive right now. Shalibur trying to make that just Ghost. Aeromatica able to dance his way out of there. Mid lane tower gonna crumble for SoaR as they pick up their 2nd tower of the game. Looking for the tier 2 nice and early, 16 minutes. And this one's gonna fall undoubtedly. 2,000 gold in total for the lane, going the way of SoaR.
These towers are already getting so chunked too by the side of SoaR, and it's looking pretty rough right about now for Area Eternity. The gold disparity is starting to slowly but surely go up, and after a certain point in time, it's going to be really difficult for such an early game composition to try and find their footing back into this game.
I gotta ask you just a black and white question, Taco. Is Odin good?
He's very situational. He can be really, really good, but he can also be completely terrible, god awful. Why is this god on my team?
Right.
Kind of bad.
I just feel like with the Phantom picked up by StormyRays, I mean, Bird Bomb is damage until minute 11 maybe, and that's being generous, right? And I already said we don't talk about Gungears, Mike. We just don't talk about it. And the ring is on a 4-second cooldown. Good for you, Odin. Excellent, great job. And to be fair, it's up about twice as much as the Phantom, so you're going to be able to pop it, you know, when the players can't get out. Sure, I understand that. But too often do we see Odins that just wind up having 0 to little impact. I mean, the 667 memes aside, like that was an Odin. TV sitting at beneath 1,500 damage right here from a character that's predominantly supposed to run the early game. I mean, what gives?
Well, the mindset behind the Odin pick on the side of Area Eternity was phenomenal. They picked AoE damage, and a lot of times where teams tend to go wrong with an Odin pick is they don't pick the AoE to punish people once they get inside of that ring. They're just like, oh, we've got some burst. That ought to do the trick. But it close to hardly ever does. And with the Odin pick on Area Eternity, SoaR just did an excellent job drafting around it because they have a composition that can counter-engage off of these Odin rings. So while there's AoE, you can see it right here.
Classic.
Get knock-up into every single other thing possible. And
there
the God
comes
ultimate,
the ring and the AoE. Medieval combines and takes out one in the opponent's ring. I mean, that's just unfair. SoaR said, hey, look, that Hades Odin combo's really good. Let's use the enemy Odin. And he just gets people stuck under the ring. Tier 1 tower goes down to SoaR after the team fight. TheYungHomie and Aeromatica are going to sit down. It's a 2-for-0. SoaR on the good side, quite obviously, as they take down the left lane. That'll be 2,000 gold for the lane in total, giving SoaR a just shy of 10,000 gold at the, well, this will be 10 grand at the 19.5-minute mark.
Just a false sense of security coming through on the side of that Odin ultimate, where Area Eternity thought that they were safe being behind that ring, when in actuality, Medieval wanted to be there the entire time.
Oh, well.
And I mean, I don't even think Area Eternity wanted to bother at this point in time. It didn't work out. They recognized it wasn't working out, and it was probably only going to get worse. And so you might as well just F6, get out of that game, look to revamp your draft, and then move on to the next one.
No problem with a game like that getting surrendered. A lot of times we talk to the players, and they say they like to use that time to sort of talk about the next game and where they're going. I think that was already done. When you have a draft like that, I mean, again, I'll stay away from the Odin, but the other characters, it's not like you hang on like, we got a Kali, just wait, right? Nah, we'll see. Game 2.